Hi and good morning. It's the 20th of February and we're just starting to really think about sowing seeds for this year. I have already started sowing some, which I'll go over in another video, but in doing that it's made me think a little bit about what I'm using to sow the seeds into. Now normally I have all of my stuff. I would highly recommend these green, or they come in black, deep trays. So to save time and your own effort, if you sow the seeds in a deep tray, you don't need to sow many, and they live in that tray until you're happy to plant them out. There's enough soil depth for them to grow into happy seedlings for you to then plant out. I wouldn't recommend, let me move all my bits and bobs, I wouldn't recommend these dreadful plastic trays. You're easily sucked into buying them because they're everywhere, they're relatively cheap, you think you're getting a lot for your money, but one use and they're broken, so I wouldn't recommend these. They're quite shallow, so equally they don't provide enough depth for a seedling to stay in that soil, saving you time going forward. So I have done in the past, use these. This is what my go-to. It's easy, you just put your normal multi-purpose compost in there and you're good to go. For some reason, so far this year, I have planted the seeds into little pots like this. Probably space donated because they're going to be inside, so I wanted to germinate a lot of seeds in a small space before they go out to the greenhouse. So I've sowed them in here so that they get started, then I'll prick them out and put them into one of the green seed trays that I showed you earlier. That's what I'm thinking. I have in the past, and indeed last year, had success with seed blockers. So these things, however, I don't find them easy to use, although I did get a lot better with it last year because I had to use it a lot because I was sowing seeds away from home. So it did mean that I could transport things a lot easier. But it's just a faff. So the mixing of the compost and everything to get it so that they work in these is quite a faff, and I didn't want to do it and be outside with wet compost in the middle of February. So I have not used these, and so, which is what's resulted me in my purchase. It's a treat, and as I say, they're new seed trays that Charles Dowding, the guru of no-dig gardening, recommends. So the theory is, the benefits of seed blocking is that you can grow seeds, you create blocks of compost, there's a lot of air around them so the roots are air pruned, and therefore the seedling creates quite a good root ball for you to then plant on, so there's less shock when you move it on and so on, among other things, but that's one of them. And so these seed trays are supposed to be similar, but they're more seed tray like as opposed to all of the seed blocking things, so it should just be a matter of using normal compost into modules that have got a wide hole in the bottom, so you can air prune at the bottom and then easily pop out the plant, which again is one of the big problems I find with module seed sowing, because getting your seedlings out of the modules is clumsy. That could just be me, and that's what wrecks the module, which makes it, a couple of years and those module pots are pretty redundant. So, it seemed an awfully big box for what I ordered, so interesting, but the module had quite a high count on it, so I was expecting a longer box rather than this small box. But we shall see. So I have a selection, so we have some trays there. Not so keen on the plastic things in it. There you go, that's not Charles Dowding's responsibility. So, actually, my goodness, these are sturdy. So I have 2 of these. So these are 30 module trays. So 2 of those. So that's 60 in total there. The trays. Let me. So we've got my nice green tray. So they fit in your standard seed trade box. So that's the size we're looking at for these 2. So that's not too bad. So that's that. So that's 60 seeds that you can get into that module, and they are the seedlings are then supposed to stay in these and happily grow away, and then it's easy to move on. So that's good. Just harping back to the seed blocker, I can't say whether I'm a big fan or not, really. I can see the advantages, but I don't love it. This is the smallest one. This is the one that you use the most for if you want space saved. But the blocks, the size of the blocks that you've got are just tiny. So actually, once a seedling germinates, which you do generally have quite a good success with the germination, they can't stay in that for very long. There's not much compost for it to grow on, so you have to move it on pretty quickly, which I then just move them into the compost trays. So they had their own little plants, and I then just planted them into the compost. So that's how I got around it, because these are just too big. So really, I wanted a size in between these 2 to be of beneficial. I think this is too big for most seedlings that I sow. I don't need them in the seed trays for the minimum amount of time, so I don't need something that big to carry them on. But that is not big enough for a one-touch process. These, on the other hand, seem a perfect size. I will say that. So I have 2 of the 30 tray ones. Two of the. Now then, I'm going to say that's 72. I could be wrong. Again, that fits into the green tray. They are incredibly sturdy. You could carry the whole lot in that. You don't need another tray to put it on to carry it. So I'm really impressed with that. I have seen a video which actually is what prompted me to buy it. Somebody was driving over these things and had no effect. And actually I can see why. They are really sturdy, so I am pleased with them. So I've got 2 of those. 2 of those. You can get another size, which is just half that size, but I kind of figured I wouldn't need that, so we are doing that. And then, final thing, which isn't a Charles Dowding label, I just thought would be handy for sweet peas. This is where all of these things are just done. Over there is similar concept but deeper. So these were, I'm thinking, good for sweet peas. So as you can see, double the size, but actually should still fit in my green trays for carrying around if need be. But really, what I'm looking at, well, yeah, I don't. These seem absolutely fine. I mean, that's not moving at all. They're fine to carry around like that. There is absolutely no give on that. These have a little bit of flex, a little bit. So I'm actually really pleased with a lot of them. So I have got some Nigella in the freezer at the moment, and I'm going to do a bit of an experiment. I think I'm going to sow some in these modules. I might seed block, but I don't really want to at the moment. I might just do them in the normal way that I would do them and see what works best. See if we get better germination and better seedlings. See how they survive. But so far, if you're at all tempted, then these are pretty good purchases. They're not the cheapest, but if you're only buying them once, I would say these are more expensive from memory than I paid for these green trays last year. So these were, I think, £7.62 or something like that. These were £6 something each. These ones were slightly more expensive, but they are deeper. I would say if there is any other module seed trays on Container Wise, and now I don't know, that are cheaper, then there may be as well, if it's just after Surginus, because that is solid, absolutely solid. These ones are much smoother, so I would expect the seedlings to come out easier than these. These have a ridge down the middle. Maybe that's by design and it does help. I don't know. We'll know that once we've got some seedlings going. So I'm pretty pleased with these. I think they will last for years, as long as, for the way I grow, the seedlings can stay in this for a reasonable length of time until I can plant them out. So we shall see. So I'm going to start with some Nigella seeds that's in the freezer at the moment that are stratifying. So I will try some in here, and maybe I'll try them in my normal way and see whether any is better than it, one method is better than the other. But at the moment, really pleased. I'll put a link to the trays in the description below, and let me know what you use to help with your seed starting process. Until next time, happy gardening!